The West has got it wrong. It's not the first time, but the West has got it wrong, and specifically the media has got it wrong because they haven't bothered to do their work. And I find it extraordinary to be making this video today. So the first thing you ought to do when an aggressive person pontificates is to look at the document on which the pontification is based. And in this case, there is a very firm decree that Mr. Putin has already published and that has gone to the Russian parliament, the Duma, the Gosduma. And in that document, there is no question about a partial mobilization of the Russian forces. It's a full mobilization. So Mr. Putin talks about a partial mobilization, and the West dutifully recites that. That's not what it is. More than that, we know that a full mobilization in practice, not just in theory and in writing, is due probably within a week. And if Russians cannot see through Mr. Putin's rhetoric and haven't bothered to look at the documentation, then they are as stupid as our media and our politicians. So we shouldn't just be quoting what Putin says. We should be looking at the actual text because Putin is a liar. And in the actual text, there's something else. There's a seventh hidden clause, which could be anything. So there's already full mobilization and there's a hidden clause. Now, it might all be a bluff. When someone says, I am not bluffing, as he does about the nuclear option, they are generally hiding something, they are generally lying. Of course, he's bluffing. Putin has his back against the wall, and he's doing the best he can in that position. He has two cards to play. Yesterday I talked about chess games as the metaphor. Today I'm talking about card games. I have very little interest in either. His two cards are, number one, the mobilization for the home, for the domestic audience, and number two, the nuclear option for the foreign audience. But there's no definite goal and no clear aim or clear move. All he's trying to do is grab the territory that is slipping away from him. And as for that seventh clause, that remains classified. It could be anything. Potentially, it gives Putin even more power than he had before at a time when he demonstrably had nothing left. So neither bluff is likely to last, and this decree, this document, is likely to be just paper. It's saber-rattling, but not without serious and unexpected threat. Even if he fires a missile into the sea, this is a charade for the hawks back home who want his job, and he knows he's got nowhere else to go. If his meeting last week told him anything, it told him that even retiring into China is probably no longer an option. Where will he go? Oddly, people like Medvedev, Medvedev seemed, a few years ago, Medvedev seemed like such a nice boy, and he came across as, frankly, slightly camp. So what's he doing? He's toughened up. He's not a hawk. He's playing to the hawks as well. And he realizes that he has a serious chance of that top job. To use the two bluffs, then, in other words, that Mr. Putin is using, and to use the bluff that Medvedev is using, all of this is predictable if inconvenient and frightening. And what of the Russian people? What indeed? The West has this fantasy that the Russians are going to rise up. They don't even dare to protest. Why not? Because there is no point in protesting. Why protest to a government that will arrest you or kill you? Putin doesn't care about their views, their protests. He doesn't care about their life. still less about their opinion. This is a very, very slow endgame. It was predictable, but it isn't without danger. And we are already, in the West, we are already playing it wrongly. We are playing it to Putin's tune because we haven't bothered to do our homework. And we are parroting Putin's propaganda. How stupid is that? We need to stop. We need to take stock. We need to read the documentation. We need to challenge the propaganda at its heart. Not produce more of our own, not posture and create sulky slogans. This is not a time for silliness. This is a time for clear thought. I don't imagine that Liz Truss is up to this at all. I fear Biden is not up to this. And the question probably is, why are we surprised that this is happening now? Why are we surprised that this is happening when these people are in power in the West? We shouldn't be surprised. Putin knows exactly that his timing is right. His timing may be right, but the content of what he's saying is wrong, and it cannot survive. He cannot survive. It is doomed, I'm afraid.